Hey, what's going on, world changers? Welcome to our 4 at 4 Facebook Live. And today's topic, we're going to be talking about slim chances. You ever feel like your chances are slim? For those that I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Adam Carey. My wife is usually present, Adam and Michelle, from adamandmichellecarey.com. But today she could not be here. She's actually on her way to a mixer to shake hands, kiss babies, and just make some new friends. So if you're joining the conversation, whether it's live or on the replay, please drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. Jeanette, always great to see you. I did get your message today, and I will be getting back to you. Just been on the road today. Kurt, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. Are you traveling the globe, or are you finally back home? And Crystal, always good to see you. And I'll try to say hi to a few more as they start popping on. So today, what we're doing, guys, is we're wrapping up a book study that we were doing on God of the Underdogs, and we were talking about if you're not familiar with the book. Highly recommend that you go read it. What they do in the book is he takes underdogs from the Bible that were simply maybe disqualified based upon our judgments of the world, and then had some radical transformations and success stories. And then what we did is we also took some modern day underdogs, and we talked about how they've inspired us. And so today I'm going to talk to you about a modern day underdog that I think relates to chapters 8 and 9, which is feeling insecure and that your chances are slim. And so let's dive in. So I want to talk to you guys about this story. On the topic, I said you got to hear this story. For many of you, you might know who I'm referencing right away. Feel free to drop a comment in and guess. And some of you might not know the full story, but I'm sure that you've probably seen this individual because he's known by millions around the world. And I already gave some of it away. It's a guy. So back in, I think it was 1982, there was a guy born in Australia with no arms and no legs, which obviously is is crazy to think that somebody could be born with no arms and no legs, an incredible disability. But the doctors had no explanation, no medical reason for why he was born that way, and really had some obstacles to overcome. Obviously, had to learn how to get dressed and eat and do all of that. But what I read about in the story today was he battled major obstacles, especially in school, because kids can be pretty mean. And I'm going to tie this into how this can relate to your network marketing business. But I want you to be thinking about some of the obstacles that you're facing or that you've had to overcome, or some of the disabilities that you legitimately have, or maybe you've labeled yourself and that you've bought into thinking that you have. But this guy truly had a disability, no arms, no legs. As a young kid, got bullied and teased and made fun of. And at ages 8 and 10, he actually had some suicidal thoughts, and I think he even had some suicidal attempts. But what happened was, when he was in high school, there was a janitor that actually inspired him to start sharing publicly his message on overcoming adversity. And I just think about that janitor. We talk a lot about us, you and I, being in the network marketing profession, being professional encouragers. We're not recruiters. We're professional encouragers. We're going out to make an impact, and if what we have is a good fit, then awesome. We're just trying to make the world a better place, offer freedom, give people something that opportunity. Maybe it's the product, maybe it's the service. Just trying to better everybody's lives. And I think about this janitor that inspired him to start sharing publicly. Well, if you fast forward what that's turned into, what that started to do for the young man is give him purpose. And I'm going to read a couple statistics. So this guy started speaking at 17 years old. Fast forward, I think he's in his 30s now, mid-30s. He's become an international speaker and evangelist. He's become a New York Times best-selling author. He has preached and shared the gospel to over 600 million people throughout 57 countries. And he's founded a organization. He's the CEO and founder of an organization called Life Without Limbs. And the guy has over 9 million followers now on Facebook. And the name is Nick Vujicic. So Nick Vujicic, I'm sure that you've seen him, but that guy, in my opinion, is a modern day underdog, which relates to the book study that we just did. And again, to recap those chapters, chapters 8 was my chances are too slim, and in the story he talked about the story of Esther, and then in chapter 9 it was all about being insecure, and they talked about the story of Moses. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to recap the story of Esther and Moses, but I wanted to really talk a little bit about the modern day underdog, Nick Vujicic. The last name is a challenge. But from a young boy that was born with no arms and no legs, he didn't. I mean, I'm sure he had many struggles, right? But instead of focusing on the disability, what he focused on was his ability. He realized that his disability wasn't just inability. Like he still had ability. And so that's my message for you guys today. Is instead of focusing on what you think might be a disability, or maybe it is a legitimate disability. I remember hearing testimonies. I remember hearing this testimony that Ray Higdon shared when he was at a live event, and I think it was he watched a guy walk across stage getting an award who was deaf, and he had to give his acceptance speech in sign language. So that guy legitimately had a disability that maybe some of us take for granted, but he didn't let that stop him. What he did is he focused on his ability of what he could do, not what he couldn't do. And when I look at my own life, just in everyday struggles or disappointments or things that you go through, what I've found is, like, how do you get over that? And what I've found is there's just a simple little phrase that you can't always control when you're going to get blessed, right? When you might reach a victory, when you might have a goal, when something might, break free. But you can always control when you're going to be a blessing. And when you get the focus off of yourself, right? When you get the focus off of your disabilities, what's going wrong, and you focus on what you can do, which is uplift and bless other people. I don't know about you, but for me, there is such a freedom in that, and there's such breakthrough in that it allows you to really step into the calling and the purpose that you were designed for. So, I just want to give a shout out to Nick. I know he's probably not going to watch this message, but, think about a guy that wanted to commit suicide at 8 and 10 years old, decided to step into the purpose and the calling that God had for him, which was to inspire people through his testimony that you do have a purpose. God has designed you and made you unique to have an impact on the world. He's shared the gospel to over 600 million people now, and he has over 9 million followers on Facebook. He's impacted millions of people all over the globe, but he wanted to commit suicide because he didn't think he had a purpose. And once he found that purpose, he stepped into it, and doors just started opening for him. And so kind of today's message is going to be quick, but when you think about your own journey in network marketing, I know a lot of us will sometimes say, I'm too young, I'm too old, I don't have enough credibility, I'm not charismatic, I'm not as outgoing, I can't present and explain like those people can, or I don't have the right contacts, or I'm from a small town, or whatever labels you start putting on yourself. It all comes down to either focusing on what you can do or what you can't do. And at the end of the day, there's people that have persevered and that have had success in the same company that you're with, and the same business that you're with, that have had to overcome more than you're facing right now. And it really just comes down to the choice of if you want to push through, if you want to grit it out and make it happen. And so if you hadn't heard that story before, I would be curious if you could just drop a comment. I'm going to put one of his videos in the comment section, because the gentleman is just, he's inspiring, and he's living life to the fullest at the best of his ability, and he's inspiring millions of people. And at the end of the day, that's what we all get to do, right? We're all modern day underdogs building a business, one customer, one recruit at a time, and we're just having a blast doing it. And so that was my message for you guys today as we wrapped up this book series. And if you guys wouldn't mind, if you got value from hearing this story, please share it with your team, share it with your community, and let people know, because it sure inspired me today. I think we're here in Sacramento, California today. It's a rainy, cold day, and I don't know about you, but I like to be outside rather than indoors. And just hearing other stories like that can get the focus off of myself and focus on what I can do rather than what I can't do. And so, yeah, Jeanette, he definitely is a blessing to others. Junior, appreciate you listening in, brother. Pamela, LeBeau, good to see you. It's been a while since we've chatted. And so anyway, guys, I got to sign off. Hannah's going to be coming home, my 2.5-year-old daughter, and it's going to be a daddy-daughter night while mom is away networking and making friends and building the business. So I wish you guys the very best. We'll probably tune in next week with some, we're going to talk a little bit about goals. We're going to talk about, what's coming up with the new year and how we could help you have the best year ever. And so if you have any other topics in mind, please drop comments below, because this is all about a community, right? We love to interact with you, and we love when you interact with us. And so until next time, cheers to your freedom.